Hi everyone, how's it going? My name is Dan. I hope you had a good Christmas, hope you had a good New Year. Cannot believe it's 2019. We are literally living in the future. Like, that sounds really futuristic to me, 2019. So I hope Santa brought you lots of good presents. I mean, he didn't bring me much, to be honest, but I brought myself a Nintendo Switch, which I'm super excited about. If you have a Switch, add me, especially if you play Smash, because I just play it non-stop now. I'm pretty awful, but maybe we can play, and I'll put the code, whatever, in the description. But that's not why I'm here. Obviously, you have read the title. I am here to review the Amazfit Verge, which I'm wearing right here. It is a smartwatch that I've been using for a couple of, well, about a month now. I don't know if you saw my unboxing video a few weeks ago. Yeah, I'm here to tell you everything about it, whether it's worth buying, what it's good at, what it's not good at, and just my general experience with the watch itself. So yeah, without further delay, let's get started. I'm going to try and keep it as concise as possible. So the Amazfit Verge is basically the latest in a kind of quite a big lineup now of Amazfit watches. The previous one was the Amazfit Stratos, which was kind of a premium-ish sports watch, around about $200. This is a cheaper watch than that. It's around about $139, or maybe a little bit cheaper depending where you buy it. It comes with some differences. For example, this has an AMOLED screen, whereas the previous Amazfit watches have different screens which have different technology, and there's some advantages, disadvantages, which I'll go into in a bit. The Verge also comes with a microphone for, well, basically allows you to receive calls from your wrist. It's pretty much a sports-orientated watch, which I'll explain why later. But yeah, that's basically a summary of what the Verge is, but now I'll go into the details and what it is like in reality. Let's talk about the screen first, because that is kind of one of the main things that's changed compared to the other Amazfit watches. Verge has a 1.3-inch AMOLED color display with a resolution of 360 by 360. I think it looks really good. It's got very vibrant colors. It's very, very bright especially compared to other Amazfit watches. It's very responsive. There are some negatives to using an AMOLED display compared to the last screens used by Amazfit. For example, the battery will wear down quicker with using this screen, and also it can't always be on, so it won't have an always on display. However, I think the trade-off in terms of brightness, in terms of color, in terms of higher resolution and clearer display, clearer screen, I think that's it's a price worth paying as far as I'm concerned. What I will say is that one of the disadvantages of the AMOLED display, like I said, was the fact that it turns itself off. It's not always on. That is kind of not really a big deal, because the watch has a sensor which detects when you're actually looking at the watch, or it knows when you go do this motion to view the watch. So for example, I just did that and the screen turned on. So yeah, so say you're just walking along, it will be off in the normal position, but then if you go to look at the time or go to use it, if you just do that, then yeah, it turns on automatically, and it does so basically every time. It's never not worked for me. I think for the price that you're paying for this watch, it looks very good, and I can get over the negatives. I think the only other negative of the AMOLED display is that it doesn't work quite as well in direct sunlight, so in a sunny day you might struggle to read it. However, living in London in January, that's not really a big deal for me right now, and in the 2 weeks that it would be a big deal for me, I'm sure I'll find a way to get over it. Now, let's talk about the design overall, just the body and the overall appearance of the watch. Now, I will say I do like the shape. I do like a circular watch. I prefer that to like a rectangular or square one. However, pretty much everything else, I mean, it's not going to win any awards in terms of, I guess, fashion or design. It looks fairly basic. It is fairly basic. It's pretty much made out of plastic all the way around, and you have this rubber band, which also doesn't look particularly flattering. I will say the materials aren't cheap. They're not cheap. They're durable and they feel kind of sturdy. However, it just looks kind of basic, doesn't it? It just is a grayish plastic. I mean, you can get different colors, which I do think look better, but this gray version is really not that good looking at all. Essentially, guys, it's a sports watch. You're supposed to use it when you work out. It's not supposed to be worn to like the greatest night out you'll ever have. So when you're running and you're sweating and you're not looking your best anyway, the fact that you're wearing a fairly average watch is not going to make a difference. You're not going to be looking your best. It's basic, but it does its job, so I'm not going to, complain about it too much. But yeah, if you are looking for a fashion accessory, a really good looking watch, then this is not it at all. You'll find only one manual control on the device, and that's this little red button which activates the screen. Like I say, you don't really need to use it that much. Otherwise, everything is just done on the touchscreen itself. Now, let's move on to the tracking capabilities of this watch, which is pretty much the reason you're going to want to buy it, because like I said, it's an activity watch. It's a watch for sports. It's a smartwatch designed to track your health and your fitness. It does it very well, actually, more accurately than I found in most other smartwatches that I've used. I found that the heart rate sensor is more accurate. It definitely provides more accurate readouts and more continuous readouts. I've also found like the pedometer, the steps, and the tracking, the GPS tracking is more accurate than before. So they've definitely put some effort into improving the hardware, improving the tracking capabilities. And like I say, you can track quite a lot of stuff. Of particular note is the fact that it has several preset sports which you can track. So running, walking, football, tennis, even like jump ropes. They've got like half a dozen or so, maybe like even 10, I think. And if you select that and do that sport, it will track everything. And then you can go back into the app and have a look at see how you did. I wouldn't say it's the best sports tracker. I'm saying for the price, it does a very, very good job. But if you want to spend $300 more on a Garmin or an Apple or a Samsung one, or a Fitbit, then they're probably going to be more accurate, but you will have to pay a lot more for just slightly more accuracy. The Verge can also track your sleep, which it also does pretty well. I mean, it will track your deep sleep, light sleep, tell you how much of each you've got. And I found that when it tells me I've got not much, I've only had 40 minutes of deep sleep that night, I do feel it. The only issue is that because it's quite thick, I mean, it's just not that comfortable to wear on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes I've literally had to take it off in the middle of the night because I've been sleeping like in a weird position, and I've just found like, oh, it's dented my head. You might not be able to wear it every night, but when you do wear it, if you do want to track your sleep, it does so pretty accurately. Now, I mentioned the app and how you can go into the app and see your data, and I'm just going to show you basically what it looks like. It's called the Amazfit Watch app, and you can just download that from Apple or Android app stores, and it works really well. You need to connect your phone to your watch via this app, and you need that for the watch to work. And yeah, it's all really good. The app is really, really easy to use, really to understand, and really good for visualizing your data. Your heart rate, you'll work at your resting heart rate, your highest, your lowest. You can go into your sports and see if you went for a run. You can have a map and see where you ran, and then see how your pace was at a certain point, how many calories you burn. You can also see some of the data on the watch itself, but it won't be as intricate. You'll be able to see your heart rate over a certain period of time and your sleep and that kind of stuff. You can see that directly from the watch itself, but more data will be available, much more data will be available in the app. Now, a word on the operating system, and it's something that is disappointing to me because it's not accessible, it's not compatible, I should say, with the Google Wear OS, so you cannot access the Google App Store to download apps to the watch, which for some will be a deal breaker because there are lots of apps out there which increase the functionality. For me, it's not a deal breaker. There's only one app that I miss, and that's Google Maps. I really think that this should have its own Maps app, and it doesn't. Now, you've probably noticed that when I've been showing you this watch, it's all in English, and the menus are in English, which you would expect, as I am clearly English. However, when I got it, because I got it kind of before it was released in the West, it came to me in the Chinese language, and yeah, all the menus were in Chinese. So there is a way though to change that. So if you were to buy it and you happen to get the Chinese version, don't panic, because you can change that. It takes about 20 minutes and you need to download some stuff and work out some stuff. I mean, it's not hugely complicated, but I'll put a link in the description to the forum that showed me how to do it, and you can do the same. So yeah, I guess the last thing to consider, and like I mentioned before, is the fact that this has a microphone and a speaker, so you can call people straight from the watch, or at least and receive calls if someone's calling from your phone, and then you can just say yes and just chat away. How it deals with this is really good. I mean, it works really well. The connection is very strong, Bluetooth 4.1, so the calls never drop. You will have to be quite close. I found, like, I've asked people, can you hear me if I'm like this far away, and they can't really hear me. So you do have to put your watch kind of quite close to your mouth. So notifications working very well, and they display all the icons correctly, and everything works well, and it's very, very easy to use and very, very quick. It's almost instantaneous. As soon as you get a notification on your phone, it will be on your watch as well. So I guess that's almost it. I mean, I'll go through a few more things quickly, which is kind of important. For example, the battery life. I will mention that because Amazfit claims that it should last for 5 days. I have found that that is true. It does last for 5 days. In fact, I've managed to make the Verge last me 8 days, I think, was the maximum I managed just through not connecting it to the phone for very long, and I guess using it sparingly. I should also mention that this has a dual-core processor with about 512 megabytes of RAM, which is more than enough. It's very responsive, very quick, and I have not experienced any issues. The only issues I have experienced sometimes is the OS sometimes crashes when I select the health app. I'm not sure why. That's the only thing that seems to crash every now and then. Hopefully a software update will rectify that, but apart from that, it works really well. So guys, that's it. That's the end of my review. I hope I've shown you everything you want to see. If you want a sports watch, a sports tracker, you don't want to spend hundreds and hundreds on Fitbits and Apples and Samsungs, this is going to be it's going to be pretty hard to beat. The screen is really good. I like it, and I think it's really good for tracking. It's really good for health tracking. It's really good for notifications, and the screen is good to me. It's just not that pretty. That's the main downside. It doesn't look that good, and it doesn't connect to the Android App Store for smartwatches, which is, I think, the biggest shame. So guys, that's it. You can check the description to see where I found this watch, the cheapest price. It's available on Amazon and on GearBest if you want it slightly cheaper, or if you're abroad and it's not on your Amazon store, check GearBest because that's where I got it from. And also check my website, also in the description. You'll see a big list of all the specs and more pictures, and I guess more information. If you really want to see more, want to know more about this watch, check that link below on my website. And apart from that, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this review. I will be comparing the Verge with the Amazfit Stratos in my next video. In case you're not quite sure which one to get, I will be doing a very detailed close-up comparison between the two. Feel free to subscribe if you are into smartwatches and gadgets in general, because I got more coming over 2019. Hopefully this will be a big year, and I hope I can show you guys more stuff that you are interested in, and let me know what you want to see, because I only want to make stuff that people want to see. So yeah, until then, I'll see you around. Bye.